So, hello everyone. We are now today starting our next chapter, that is chapter number 6 on employment growth, information and other issues. ठीक है. So we have already seen many of the chapters of Indian economy, right? And those classes are available on the platform, right, on the app also, right? And you can always watch them. And we saw how the Indian economy progressed. It what was the historical perspective of Indian economy and how it has progressed from then there, right? We have seen the issues of the related to the poverty, related to the human capital growth, and now today we will be seeing the employment scenario in India, right? How the growth, right, GDP has led to the information of workers, okay, and other issues, okay. These are the things that we will be seeing as we progress in the chapter, right? ठीक है. So the very first quote, and this is a quote of the Mahatma Gandhi, that he was not against the machinery per se, right? He was against the craze for machinery, right? He wanted that those machineries which are saving the labor should be eliminated, should not be gone for, right? Because men will go on saving the labor, and thousands of the people, right, those who are going for the work will be workless, like they will be jobless. So he wanted that those people should be able to get the jobs, right? So more and more number of people should be able to get the jobs so that they can earn their living and they can lead their dignified life, right? But but due to the industrial revolution, there was a progress of machineries, right, going for the work, and slowly the labor class was getting out of the job, right? So Mahatma Gandhi was against this type of craze for machineries, right? Okay, so let's start with the chapter, and the introduction says. So as we already know that many of the farmers, many of the people work in this sorry so many of the people work in banks, factories, shops, right? And some of the people work from their home, some of the people go for the factories or banks, etc., for the job, right? We have already seen many type of works in India and in our surroundings also, right? Now what actually was happening before the traditional work was dominant, right? So people used to go outside for weaving, for operating the machineries or any other work, right? So that was the type of traditional work. But now modern jobs are coming up, and people can work from their home, right? As we all know about the IT culture that is going on, right? Now technology has enabled to produce those factory waste goods at home also, right? So it is beneficial. The technology has been beneficial that people can work from their home and also produce goods, right? Goods or services, right? Now why people work for, right? And it is very important question, why do people go for the work, right? So they have to earn their living, right? They have to earn their living. Being employed means a sense of self-worth, right? A person is worthy of something, right? He has some dependencies, right? People depend on him, so he has some fulfilling objectives. The work he is working or doing, these enables the person to be leading a meaningful life, right? And also if a person goes for the work, it contributes to the national income also, right? And hence our GDP grows, right? So this is how the work those work going the people going for the work contributes to the society, right? Sense of accomplishment is also achieved by the worker, right? So these are the things that person goes to the work for, right? Now moving to the very important aspect, who are the workers and what is the employment, right? Workers and their employment. So what is the employment, who is the worker? So this is very very important question. Now we should be able to answer it by knowing the fact that we have already discussed in our chapter first and second, that what is the gross domestic product. So it is a sum total of all the final goods that is produced within a country within a duration of 1 year, right? So whatever we get from imports, we find that there is a net earning for the country which may be positive, right, or negative or zero, right? So after GDP, so GDP is the production, right? Production within India, right? Within India or within domestic territory. Now we already know that these countries have some export and import from outside the world, right? Outside the domestic boundaries also. So if we this export minus import, right? This can be positive, negative, or even zero, right? If net export and if the export the value of the export is equal to the imports, then this can be zero also, right? So if we add up this export and import, right, whatever the net comes up, so that if we add up, then this is called as gross national product, right? So we add up those net value of earnings in that is export minus imports, and we add up in the GDP, then we get the national gross national product, and it is a very important concept. So those economic activities, right, which contributes to the gross national product, are called as economic activities, right? So those activities are called economic activities, and all those people who are working for economic activities are called as workers, right? So that means people should be engaged in the economic activities, and this is very important aspect that we will be again covering, right? So you should be understanding what who is a worker. The worker who is contributing to an economic activity is called as worker, right? So in that capacity, those people who are working for themselves, they are working for their own establishments, right? They may be shop owners, right? Shop owners, right? So these type of people who are self-employed are also called as workers, right? For that categories, because they are coming up with a they are doing some economic activity, right? So number of workers, what is there should be a question that what is the number of workers in India, right? So all those people, if we are able to count, those are all those people who are involved in some economic activities, right? So those workers will be called as employed workers, right? So those employed workers, if we are able to count, then we will be able to count the number, right? So in 2022-23, the workers were counted, and it was found that 545 million people are workforce working in India, right? And this is very huge number, right? And also it needs to be focused upon here that because most of the people are working in the rural areas, right? So all those farmers, right, all those people who are residing in rural areas, farmers, labor class, etc., those all form the majority of those workforce, right? So this needs to be emphasized here. So our workforce is not living in only the cities, but in the rural areas. The rural areas forms the majority of the workforce, right? So in that sense, the rural areas workers constitute approximately two-thirds of this workforce, right? So two-thirds comes from the rural areas. So about 70% of those workers are male, right? So we should be understanding that the working and going outside and working for some business, some self-employment and other labor class or sector, etc. Those all are approximately 77% of all those people are men, right? So women are lesser in that number. So why women are less in number in the workforce? Okay, so this is the question that should come into your mind, right? So you should understand that women work cooking, fetching water, and other domestic works, right? Fuel wood, participates in the farm labor. But what actually is happening that they are not paid wages for these works, right? Whatever, if you may see your mother or some person who is working in the home, right? She is not paid. She is not formally employed somewhere, right? She is working for her own home, right? So because she is not paid, so if we go to the definition of worker, who is a worker? Who is employed in some economic activity, right? Economic activity. So because she is not being paid, a woman is not being paid, that means that work she is doing is not an economic activity, and hence she is not counted, right? Woman is not counted as a worker, right? Now, so that is why women are not counted as worker. So this is a type of scenario that that women are underrepresented in the workforce, right? So we should also be thinking about one important term, that is worker to population ratio, right? So what is this, what is the term? It is the total number of workers in any country, right? And if we are able to divide it by total population of that country and multiply it by 100, then we will be getting the worker to population ratio, right? Now, table 6.1 gives us understanding that what is the worker population ratio, and we will be able to find that out of every 100 persons, only 41 people are working, right? And rest of them are not working, right? They may be they may not be seeking the employment, they may be unhealthy, right? Those unhealthy people will not be able to work, right? And they may not, they may be the women, right? Because those women are working at their home, so they must not be actively seeking the employment somewhere, right? So this is what is the level of employment out of every 100 population, 100 people of the population in India. 41% is only going for the work, right? Okay, so people in the rural areas, if we see the rural areas, people have limited skills, limited resources to participate in any work, right? So they are not going for the work. That is why the workers in the rural areas are lower as compared to the urban areas. While in urban areas, people have skills, people have education, right? So those skills and education enables them to go for a higher job, right? And hence there are many employment opportunities also available in the urban areas. So that is why those people go for work in urban areas. So in urban areas, people are able to find more work as compared to rural areas, right? So in worker population ratio, we see in urban area, worker population ratio, 56% are male, and only 20% are the women. And while in rural area, 56% are male and 34% are the women. So if we are able to see as compared to the urban areas, women are more in the rural areas, right? In the rural areas, women workers are more, right? Because those workers, those women must be going for their fields, right? Fields, and contributing to the economic activity, like contributing to raising of the crop and then harvesting of the crop. So that means that woman is working as a worker, right? Right. Now we have seen that compared to the men, more women, more men are working, right? So the other thing for lower representation of women in the working class is when the men are able to earn higher wages, and this is the societal angle, right? So when men is earning higher incomes, then family says to the woman to not work, right? It discourages a female to take up jobs, right? So women are largely displaced from the jobs. Right, so that is why also the women are there is a underrepresentation of women in the labor force of India. Okay, non-recognition of women's work and also underestimates the number of women workers in India is another important cause is the non-recognition that women's work, whatever the household work that they do, right? The cleaning of utensils, the washing of the clothes, etc. Those works are not categorized as the economic activities. So that is why their work is not recognized, and hence their number in the workforce is underrepresented, right? Okay, so moving to the another section, what is, if we have known the what is the works, what is employment, what is the worker, okay, and now we will are learning about if a person is an employed, right? He is a worker. So what is the difference between self-employment, employed, and hired workers, right? So those people who are already working or employed. So some of people may be self-employed and some may be hired. So what is the difference between them? So if we are able to know what is the worker population ratio, worker to population ratio, but it doesn't say the work's status, the worker's status, what work he is doing, right? So what is his working conditions? So we are not able to guess these type of analysis from the worker population ratio. So we should be knowing what is the quality of employment in the country, right? So how people are able to work, right? So see, you can see this picture. This picture is of brick kiln, and people are this in the rural areas. People are going for the economic activity, like they are converting the mud into a brick, right? And this is the form of the casual work. What is the casual work? We will be understanding slowly. Okay, so what is the status of the workers? Workers who own the enterprise, right? Oh, if a person who is owning an enterprise industry, or maybe a person who is owning a shop, right? And they are earning their livelihood by themselves, right? Those people are called as self-employed, right? So you should be understanding what is self-employed. So self-employment is when the person is owning his own work, right? And he is doing his work with the help of, either with the help of labor or himself. That is self-employment. So about 58%, that is a major portion of the workforce in India, is belongs to this category of self-employed, right? Now, the construction workers, for example, those people who work for another person, right, and they earn their living from them, right? Those people are called as casual labor, casual wage laborers, right? And the person who we saw just now in the pic, right? This person was working in the brick kiln for that owner of that brick kiln must be self-employed person, right? Self-employed. The owner will be self-employed, right? And this worker who is working, he will be called as laborer, right? Casual, casual laborer. So this is the categorization of labor, right? Now, approximately 20% of the people of India are casual laborers, right? Now, right, another important section of work is employment is if a person is engaged in an enterprise and he is paid regularly her wages on a regular basis, right, on a monthly basis, weekly basis, or whatever there is agreement of upon, okay, so those people are called as regular salaried employed, right? So we have salaried employed, right? There's a difference between salaried employees and casual laborers, right? Casual laborers doesn't have a formal contract with the employer, right? So they can be hired or removed very fast, right? But in the case of the salaried employees, those people are not paid daily. They must be paying by on a weekly or monthly basis, and also they must be having some contract with the employer, right? A formal contract with the employer. So those people are called as regular salaried workers, right? Now we should be seeing the chart 6.2, and if we are seeing that chart, we will be able to find that self-employment are more in the rural areas as compared to urban areas, and in urban areas the people are majorly the casual laborers, right? So we should be seeing it, right? Right. And why this scenario we are able to find in rural areas? Because in the rural areas, people have their own fields, and those people who are working on their own field, right? Those people are also called as self-employed, right? So that is why the number of self-employed people in the rural areas is more as compared to the people in the urban areas, right? Okay, so if we see this chart of 6.2, in urban areas, the self-employed people will be 40% only, and in rural areas, self-employed people are approximately 65% of the population, right? So that means self-employed people are higher in the rural areas, right? Okay, and if we will see this salaried class, right, in the urban areas, salaried class is 48%, approximately half of the urban population, but in the rural areas only 13% forms the salaried class, right? So that is the difference, major difference between the rural and urban areas, right? Also, see, in the urban areas, the enterprises, the industries that are set up, right, or the establishments that have been set up in the urban areas, those require the workers to serve, to provide their services, right? In order to in those services, those people will be hired on a salary basis, right? On a salary basis, and that is why those people will be called as regular salaried workers, right? And those salaried workers will be a majority in the urban areas as compared to rural areas, right? Okay, so employment in the firms, factories and offices. If we are if we are able to see the employment, what is the category, whatever the what is the difference between the employment in the firms, factories and other offices, etc. So we should be able to gauge the what is the quality of employment in India, right? So so labor flows from as we have already seen, right, in our chapter number 2, I think, right? So we have seen that as the GDP of a nation grows, right, so people moves from agriculture sector towards the either manufacturing or the service sector, right? So this is what happens, right? So labor flows from agriculture and other related activities to industries and services, right? So workers migrate from the rural areas to urban areas, and they started to work in the manufacturing, either in manufacturing or the services sector, right? So so that is a period when the services sector, people in the service sector, the service sector, whole sector faces starts to rapidly expand, right? uh, just a minute now. हेलो, हेलो, हेलो। ठीक है। ओके, ठीक है, यहाँ से हम स्टार्ट करेंगे, राइट। So yes, we were saying that the agriculture, the people start from moving from the out of the agriculture to the towards either the manufacturing or the service sector. So service sector will keep on increasing, right? The people in entering in the service sector will be higher, right? So services sector will keep on increasing. So there's different type of services that Indian government measures. Right? It can be agriculture, quarrying, and mining, right? Manufacturing, electricity and gas and water supply, construction, water, the transport and storage, etc., and even the services, right? So these all are the categories of the work that we have already seen, the economic activities, right? So for our very basic understanding, we can club these all these services, all these works, economic activities into three categories, right? Primary, secondary, or service sector, right? So for very simplified learning, right? Now if we are able to see this graph, this chart, right? So we should be seeing that this primary sector accounts for a majority of the population, right? Majority of the population even today, right? And secondary sector employs approximately 24% of the total workforce, and tertiary, that is service sector, employs approximately 30%. So in our services sector, the people have started to increasing, right? And this is the period where the service sector will keep on expanding, right? People will be coming from the either manufacturing or the agriculture sector towards the services sector, right? Now nothing is important in this paragraph. Whatever the portion that I've highlighted will be only reading, right? So that we can remain the focused in our understanding. So 60% of the female workforce is employed in the primary sector. So we should be able to see that in the primary sector that we have already seen in the rural areas, the woman forms the majority of the workforce, right? And 64% in the primary sector, 64% is the woman, right? So this was the type of categorization of employment and the type of workers, right? How many workers are working in different industries, right? Now moving to the towards another topic, okay, how the growth changes the structure of employment in India, right? So how the employment changes the growth and how growth changes the employment. So this is what we will be discussing in this topic, right? So in chapter 2 and 3, we have already seen that the planning strategies were discussed in the detail, and we were seeing that as the GDP will keep on growing, the employment in the economy will keep on increasing, right? Expansion of economy will be increasing, right? So national GDP and output will be keep on increasing, employment will keep on increasing, right? If we will see the data, historical data from the period 1950s to 2010, GDP of India grew positively and higher than the employment growth. So whatever the growth of employment was there, GDP was growing at a fast rate as compared to employment, right? But in after the late 1990s, right, after this LPG reforms that we have already discussed, right? What is the LPG reforms, etc. We have already discussed in the chapter 3, right? So after these LPG reforms, the employment growth in India started to decline, right? And we have reached to a level that the growth of India, that is GDP growth of India, is higher as compared to the employment growth, right? This means that Indian economy is growing without generating employment, and we have been able to produce more goods and services. That is, the GDP is increasing. The goods and services are being produced in larger quantity in India as compared to before, without the employment being generated in India. Right. So this phenomena is being referred to as jobless growth. So growth is coming. GDP is growing. Right. You should be able to understand this term. GDP is growing. The every year GDP is growing. We are producing more goods and services, right? But when the employment in the economy is not increasing, either it is decreasing or it is stagnant, right? That condition is called as jobless growth. So we are achieving the growth, but we are not generating the employment. So we should be seeing how the different growth pattern of employment and GDP is affecting different sections of the workforce. So like employment of the people in various industries and their status, we will be able to understand, right? So India, as we all know, this is an agrarian nation. So most of the people are engaged um, in the agriculture sector, right? So the development industry, the strategies that we have employed in the planning era, it was to reduce the portion of people who are dependent on the agriculture and move them towards the either industry or maybe the service sector, right? But distribution of the workforce by industrial sector shows that substances shift from farm work to non-farm work, right? So workforce shifted. So as we have planned, as we have strategized, the workforce is shifting from the farmers to farm labor towards the non-farm sector, right? So in 1972-73, about 74% of the workforce was in the primary sector, and now in 2023-24, this portion has declined to 46%, right? So we will be seeing this in the chart also, right? If you are able to see this chart, so this is the above line is of growth. We are having GDP growth, right? GDP growth is at 8.6% in 8.7% in 2005 to 10 period, right? But if we are able to see this employment growth, it is stagnating or either decreasing, right? And in 2005 to 2010 period, the employment growth was very low and it was approximately 0%, but economy GDP was growing at one of the highest pace. Right, so we were not able to generate the same amount of jobs for the people even after the GDP was growing in India. Right, if we are able to see this another table 6.3, we will be finding that in the primary sector, the people in the sector has decreased from 74 to 46%, right? And we will be seeing that this number is not decreasing after 2017, right? In the secondary sector, the people have started to come up, and 24% today is the people are engaged in the industry sector, right? In the services sector, that is tertiary sector, the people have started to come up, and 29 to 30% approximately today people are working in the services sector. So in the people from the agriculture sector in essence are moving towards either industry or the services sector, that we have seen from this graph, right? And if we are able to see the type of employment, the self-employed people are decreasing from 61 to 58%, and regular salaried employees are increasing, right? And casual laborers are also increasing, right? Are decreasing, right, in India. So this is the type of phenomena, the economic indicators that we are seeing today, right? Okay, so last 5 decades, people have moved from self-employment towards either regular salaried employment or towards the casual workforce, right? So they are leaving their own jobs, right? Their own jobs and moving, they are either becoming regular salaried employees, or they are working a casual laborers. And this process, whatever this process that we have seen, this process is called as casualization of workforce, right? Casualization of workforce. This term is very important, right? This term is very important, and this casualization of workforce makes the people vulnerable. They won't be having the proper wages. They won't be having the proper amount of social securities, right? So this is the issue, this is the challenge that those people will be facing, right? So this is what we were discussing in the part 1 of this chapter, and we will be discussing in the second part, as part B. So so we will be seeing this in the next class, right? The rest of the chapter we will be discussing in the next class, right? Thank you all. Thank you for this session. You will be able to get this PDF on the app, right? Okay, thank you all.